You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. And look who we have with us now. We have the mayor of Cranston, ALAN Fung. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you, Bob. Thanks for having me back.
I had to have you back.
Absolutely.
We didn't complete it last time you were here. We got rolling, and we can both talk. So
we had a lot to talk about.
That's right.
There's a lot going on in the state.
There's a lot going on in the state.
A lot going on in our great city of Cranston, the second largest city now. Now, that's
a
story.
It used to be the third, you know.
Used to be the third.
Actually, it used to be the fourth.
Well, yeah.
Pawtucket was the second years
really?
ago. Yes,
I didn't
it was.
remember that.
It went Providence, Pawtucket, Warwick, Cranston.
Wow, okay. So, see, we've been growing and even growing a lot more under my administration the past 10 years. It's been fun.
Well, certainly the businesses have been growing with you in Cranston. My
Absolutely.
God. Between Garden City and Chapel View.
Yep.
Those two places have done great things. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
That center part of the city is booming right now, you know, Bob, and hopefully all of your viewers get a chance to come on down, especially see all that's happening in Garden City.
Right.
You know, it's been fun to see that turnaround from when I first got into office to what it is now.
Yep.
You know, that lower half of Garden City where Borders Bookstore used to be and everything else, the old Five and Dime was down there. That was getting a little, scary down there.
Sure.
You know, parents were using the parking lot to, teach kids how to drive. But now take a look what's going on. You got LL Bean.
Yep.
Open up a shop right on that.
Right.
Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza. Dan Marino came up for the ribbon cut a couple of years ago.
Oh,
for
really?
Anthony's. Great pizza. If you like thin crust, a little bit
Well, he's part owner of it?
Yeah, he's part owner of the Anthony's because they're a chain that came out of Florida. And, they came right into good old Cranston, and it's been booming business there. But, we're getting a lot of good restaurants, too. We opened Tavern on the Square.
I go there. I've been there several times.
Fantastic menu.
Great place to go to watch a game, too.
Did you see that bar, Bob?
Yes.
70 people can sit in that bar.
And a lot of square. Big square in the center.
And a lot of times on a Friday, Saturday night, it's several deep. You can't even get close to the bar. Wow. It's a great atmosphere.
But when they must have 60 TVs in the place.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I watched the Super Bowl there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, great atmosphere. And then you got next door Legal Seafood that came in.
Well, they call it now something
Legal
different.
Sea Bar.
Legal Sea Bar, yeah.
Right, Legal Sea Bar. But they closed the Legal Seafood in Warwick because everyone's coming to Cranston, including Legal Seafood. So, we definitely got a lot of good businesses right in that center part. But what's happening, though, is, Bob, at first it was a lot of the retail shops, a lot of those nicer retail shops. Now we're adding that last component where a lot of restaurants, making it a real destination for people to go.
Sure.
So it's been a lot of fun. They're hosting a lot of community activities.
Well, and in the summertime, right in the square there, the gazebo.
Yep.
In fact, who I saw there years ago one night? I saw Chuck Berry.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a concert there.
That's awesome.
With Chuck Berry in that gazebo there.
Yeah, because that gazebo is an icon. And when, the new developers, new management company came in and met with me first, now 10 years ago, we made sure that gazebo stayed. Because many people, like you, remembering the Chuck Berry concert, remembers going to Garden City, and that's an icon there. So, you know, even though they slimmed it down a little, did a little parking, that Garden City Summer Concert Series draws in thousands of people.
It does, yeah.
You know, you got some good bands like World Premiere that go play there, so a lot of people really enjoy it. Then right afterwards, they're at Newport Creamery grabbing a, you know, awful waffle.
And it's nice to see that Newport Creamery survived over there.
Yeah.
Because it didn't survive in a lot of towns.
In a lot of towns, but in Cranston, it's doing well. And that's, you know, part of what's going on in that central part of the city, because that's Garden City with all those stores that are popping.
And then jump over the other side.
The old Bad Boy School.
The old Bad Boy, yeah, the old Sakanasik. That's where they used to, my mother used to say to us when we were kids, if you're bad, you're going to
go there. Exactly.
The Bad Boy School.
Yeah.
But now that has become Chapel View.
Yep.
And that has some great places, restaurants. In fact, a doctor friend of mine has his office in that complex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been wonderful. That restaurant though, Chapel Grill, it's beautiful. You know, God rest his soul, Mr. Capinato, who, you know, envisioned that whole development, really took the time and the detail to preserve that, you know, chapel in the way it was. The restaurant's beautiful, overlooks, you know, a great part of Garden City and our city. It's got beautiful views that you can see.
Now, what was the history of that chapel?
It was the chapel that was on the grounds for of the state properties that were over there.
So they took the bad boys over there to go to church, or is that what they did?
Sure, I'm sure it was, because, you know, they had, I remember that old Bad Boy School. Not because I was, you know, a permanent resident there, but, you know, it's part of my history, because when I was growing up.
Well, you grew up in Cranston.
I grew up in Providence. Yeah. But I went to St. Matthews, and I'll never forget, every Christmas time, I played on the St. Matthews boys basketball team, and we went and played in the old Saco tournament, playing, you know, there were different teams, basketball teams that were in there that played in the tournament. So I got a chance to see the inside, and it was run down back then.
Wow.
So it's nice to see that transformation that's been part of a lot of our legacies, the threat especially.
The threat, yeah.
But to turn into something positive, but keeping some of that history. Even the wall, the detail with the wall surrounding Chapel View.
Right.
We made sure that architecturally they kept a lot of that and used the same, you know, rocks, you know, to kind of keep.
Well, they had all those buildings that were made of that rock, that stone,
absolutely,
the stone facade on those buildings.
And it looks good, and there's more coming.
Yeah. And what else you got coming?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but a couple months ago, our city council approved the ordinance that's going to.
Oh, finally, that.
Topgolf.
Topgolf.
They're going to be going.
Now, what are they going to do? Taking a little bit of that building away?
Down a little further, the Citizens Bank building.
Right.
You know,
no, I know it's the Citizens Bank building, but are they taking some of that building away?
A small portion of that building away. But where they're building Topgolf, and for all your viewers who haven't been to a Topgolf, because this will be one of the first in New England, because the closest one right now is in New Jersey. It's wonderful. It's family entertainment. It's fun. It's a lot of after-work entertainment. It's not a driving range.
No?
It's targeted golf.
It's what?
I've been to Target Golf. So I've been to the one in Las Vegas and one in Arizona.
Now, what do you mean Target Golf?
Well, it's 3 bays. It's open-ended. You're shooting out into basically targets, and it's all computerized, and you're trying to score hitting in the different
So do you actually shoot a ball?
Yep. The ball comes up automatically.
And you shoot a ball towards, obviously, one of the targets.
Right out into the targets, and then you can get points, and it all comes out on the on your computerized screen.
Oh, so it's not a regular driving range.
It's not a driving range. Everyone assumes it's a driving range, but it's not. It's actually entertainment. You know, but there's a bar there, restaurant. It's decent, you know, food. You know, a lot of televisions that are there. So it's a great opportunity for people to gather after work, and that's what it was designed for. And why they came in front of the council, you know, Bob, was they needed some height relief, because this is running parallel to the highway in Route 37, and they had to put the nets up so to make sure the ball's on hit. You know,
you had people driving down the road.
Exactly. That's the last thing I think any business wants right now. You know, is that liability.
How high are the nets going to be?
You know, it's going to be, you know, quite high so that it avoids all that. But we're talking about a project overall that's about $45, $46 million.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a really good project. It's going to get a lot of people back to work, but make not just Cranston, but hopefully the entire state a destination for people who want to come to have fun, because we'll be one of the first ones to have it in this whole New England area. And that's one of the prides that I've had. Like, a lot of what we've done is focusing on great attractions into the city, because it's not just the heart of Cranston, it's the heart of Rhode Island.
Well, it's a hub. It's a hub.
It's a hub.
Yeah.
You know, you're drawing a lot in Garden City already with LL Bean. A lot of people are coming in for that. They're coming in for the restaurants, all the other great retailers that are been there. But they're really coming into that center part of the city for a lot of different alternatives. But that's not the end of, you know, our business development. You know, I've made sure we focused on, you know, all parts of the city. And in fact, we've got a couple more developments, bigger developments that are coming online now. Sites that had been sitting vacant for a number of years, that we just couldn't get it going with the right vision for, you know, with the developer. One is the old Cranston Print Works. You know, yep, up on the eastern side off Cranston Street, near Knightsville, in the St. Mary's Church that's over there. You know, Massachusetts-based developer just purchased it recently.
Oh, that's good.
And he's just came in to, you know, sit with us earlier this year and trying to toss around a few concepts over what he wants to do. And he's envisioning sort of like a mixed use, maybe some residential, maybe some commercial, because a lot of people don't know. Right behind the Cranston Print Works, it's the Pecasset River, beautiful waterways, and a dam that kind of flows down. So it really can be something
well,
that
that's big. Everybody likes that. Everybody likes water. I don't care who you are. Everybody likes water.
Unless it's in your basement, Bob, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if you can look at it, you can hear it, you can see it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's one of the ones that's going to be fun that we'll be working on next couple of years to see what the developer wants to do. And then if you go even a little further west, off Plainfield Pike, right on the Johnston line, we had the old Roger Williams food storage facility. That's acres on acres, but it's a couple 100,000 square feet that's in there.
It's a big building. In fact, I talked with, I just got with the Lieutenant Governor, actually.
Absolutely.
We put together and got Warwick ice cream finally in the airport, which made absolutely all sense. That Warwick ice cream should be sold in the Warwick airport. Right. But he's looking for a place that has freezer facilities, because he's outgrown his Warwick ice cream location. He's looking for a place, and he did look at that place, but unfortunately, they took the freezers out of that place.
Right, they did. So there's going to have to be a lot of, you know, renovations that are going, and that's where, you know, we as the city are there to help. So whatever they want, we want to fast track it as best as possible, because we want to, you know, help them also marry some businesses to get them into that facility as quickly as possible.
Big place. I mean, huge. Big building.
You know, when you're talking about 200,000+ square feet in the existing building, and there's open land too that can.
Well, that's twice the size of a Stop and Shop, 200,000, right?
Exactly.
I think the average Stop and Shop's about 100,000.
Yeah,
right?
So
200,000.
Yeah, so you're talking about a good track of, you know, property that's there, and I want to make sure that they find the right complement of people, good paying jobs that are going in there, and whatever we can do to kind of help the developers and the owners of that property, we're going to do it. That's been my motto from day one.
Tax credits, is that what you're talking about?
No, not necessarily.
No.
Because we, one of the things I've been proud of in 10 years as mayor, we have not cut a special deal for anyone.
Really?
Yep.
Because I was going to ask you about that, about the Citizen building.
Yeah, Citizen. And that's one of the things. We have incentives that are on the books. We have a 5-year, 10-year, or even 15 years, depending on whether you're an industrial, commercial and how much you've purchased and how much you invest in the property. So we have those existing on the book. But I've never really had to cut a special deal like what you see some other communities do to try to get, even like what you're talking about, the development down in Providence. They're always talking about these one-off type deals that, you know, to get someone to come in here. I'm not in favor of that. I'd rather keep a stable tax environment, keep it as low as you can, provide that, cut through the red tape type environment, and that sends a different message to business owners. It's stability. We've developed a reputation over the course of my administration that we're business friendly. We want businesses here, and not just the big guys, because we've talked about some of the bigger developments, but I've made sure that the Marquettis did an expansion, Twin Oaks, or anyone else that wants to do an expansion as a small business owner, they get the same level of service that the big guys get. That's what they deserve and expect.
And you say Twin Oaks, one of my favorite, probably my favorite restaurant in the state of Rhode Island.
Oh, it's great.
You can't beat it. And do you know that for decades they've been rated as one of the highest, well, they are one of the highest grossing freestanding restaurants in the country.
Yes, I do. Come on, Bob. How can as mayor I not know that fact? And plus, it's my wife's favorite restaurant.
Oh, is it?
And we were just there last week. They celebrated their 85th anniversary.
Unbelievable.
You know, the DeAngelis family, imagine when they started that, 85 years. You know, my parents ran the restaurant for 35 years before they retired. It's a long business. It's a lot.
It's a tough business.
But to keep it through the next generation and, their
And usually it doesn't work in the second generation for some reason. I think the second generation, the first generation works so hard, they don't want their kids to work hard, so they give them everything, and they don't have to work as hard. So when they end up taking it over, they either fall on their face or sell, one or the other.
Right, but they're keeping that institution alive. A lot of the waiters, the maitre d's have been there for decades, and it's fun. It's a great atmosphere that you go into. It's definitely one of my favorite spots that I go to. But in Cranston, we got so many. Knightsville, Cafe Eatery, the Post.
Nice one, Cafe Eatery is another one.
Cafe Eatery's great. You got the Post, the VFW Post.
The Post is on Atwood Avenue on the corner of Atwood. What's that side street?
Atwood and Randall.
Randall Street.
Yep.
It's a American Legion Post is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Mike's Kitchen.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of wonderful restaurants.
Even I think it's it is in Cranston. Cheeseburger.
Which cheeseburger?
It's called
the Big Cheese.
The Big Cheese.
Yeah, I just had my Greek salad for lunch from the Big Cheese. So we've got a lot of icons that are restaurants that have been part of our landscape for years. But we also have had many new restaurants that are thriving too, and it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. Because like I said, I've enjoyed helping those business owners that have been there to new young upstarts. Because remember, we got Johnson & Wales there too, in a part of Cranston. A lot of new students coming out that want to start, whether it's on a lot of times they'll start on a food truck, but then start up a smaller shop, and then grow. Helping them succeed as business owners too. That's the fun part of their job. And when you're helping people, you see that commitment that they make back to the community. You're seeing a lot of the kids after school going into the restaurants, grabbing a slice of pizza or wherever else, and you're helping a good economy being built in a city that keeps growing because you've got the right leadership focus on the right thing, and that's helping business owners, making sure that there are good recreational facilities, services that are designed for the residents in mind.
Right. What was that the hotel that became part of Johnson & Wales now?
Oh,
Cranston Hilton? What was it?
Yeah, that's right. It was the Cranston Hilton. Yeah, I didn't. See, I was young back then, Bob. I only remember. I've heard the stories about a hotel, but never saw it, in action, buddy.
I'm surprised I remember it. The Cranston. I can't remember what had for dinner yesterday, but I know the Cranston. I remember that as the Cranston Hilton.
The Cranston Hilton, yeah. And Johnson & Wales taking that area. They're a great partner, community partner with us. They're down in that Edgewood area. A lot of the dorms are down there. And, a lot of is going on in that eastern side of the city, too, because you're right on Narragansett Bay.
Right.
Patuxent Village. Oh, boy, I tell you, talking about some good restaurants that are there, too. You got Boston's.
Boston's been there for a long time.
For a long time. And then, for me.
The bagel, Tony's opened up the bagel shop right there.
Yeah.
Right?
But right next to there, Fellini's. Fellini's moving from Providence into Cranston because they saw that. That's I love pizza, so I've been known to jump into that spot too. So we got a lot that's happening from a culinary scene, and even I'll give them, it's Warwick, but you got O'Rourke's that's right across the, on the Warwick line that's over there too. So, you got a lot of good restaurants that are in, dynamic part of our community.
In the whole state. In the whole state, there's an amazing amount of restaurants because of Johnson and Wales.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And when you take a look at what we've got going on all throughout the state, it's fun. From Providence, all the new type of cuisines that are popping up, to what's going on all across on the East Bay, and Barrington, Newport, Middletown.
Oh, you said Twin Oaks is your wife's favorite.
Yes.
What's your fauvite?
I've got a lot of them. See, I'm a foodie. My wife's a little picky.
I know you are. Yeah.
So I'll eat anything. And especially coming from a Chinese, background, I eat head to toe. So
I know. I've been over that part of the world when they eat the crickets and and the centipedes and.
I won't go for the bugs, but I'll usually eat anything because it's been fun. I've been traveling quite a bit. I went to China with my wife about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. And that was the first time for her to really see everything presented like head to toe, like a fish.
The head to toe.
And and
it's looking at you when you're eating.
Looking at you, or even the chicken with the little head. She's like, so it's different. So I enjoy everything. But for me, one of the great things I've loved about, running statewide, running for governor, and even though it wasn't successful, I've enjoyed meeting so many people, seeing so many businesses. I love to eat, so I've hit many, restaurants all across.
You seem to favor Italian, though, for some reason. Do you? Am I right?
I like Italian, but I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
I really do like it.
Because Westerly has some great Italian
restaurants,
too.
There's some great, restaurants down in Westerly. I like the Brazen Hen that's down there, too. We've hit a lot of the spots down in Misquamicut, especially, during the summertime. There's, a lot of good spots, right along the beach. But, even, Middletown, Coddington Brewery. I go there with my in-laws a lot, having Sunday dinner with them, and so we hit Coddington's quite a bit. And, in Newport, because, my wife still has her condo in Newport, we'll be there a lot. Whether it's the Brick Alley or Red Parrot.
Right.
There's a lot of great places.
Red Parrot.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun places. So it's fun to be a Rhode Islander, especially on this food scene that we have. So it's tough to pick a favorite. And of course, coming from a Chinese background,
All right, what's your favorite Chinese restaurant?
There's a lot. See, it depends on what kind you want, though. What kind you're in the mood for. If you want authentic, dim sum, which is what I grew up on.
Now, that's when they come up with the cart?
With the carts and
stuff. Where do they have that in Rhode Island?
They don't have like the carts, but you can order it sort of like off a menu, dim sum.
Most people probably don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Dim sum is what I call it.
Right.
And they come over and they have these little containers, and they open up the containers, and then you pick something out of the containers, and everything's hot.
Right.
And they come over with a cart full of all these items.
Yeah.
And you pick them, and then they mark it down what you've taken.
Exactly. The closest you have is in Boston, up in Massachusetts.
That's where I've done it.
Right.
I've done it. I did a show, Bob's Big Adventure, up there. Going behind the scenes in the Chinatown, and they took me through the kitchens, and I ate. I ate in the kitchens. I actually ate in several kitchens, a little bit of here and a little bit there. And then we finished off the day having a dinner with the dim sum.
Yep. And there's only a couple places that actually do it, not in the cart service, but you can order off the menu. King's Garden in Cranston is one of the places that has it.
Where is that?
Right on Rolfe Street. Not too far from City Hall.
Yes.
Yep. So they have it. There's a place in West Warwick. I think it's called Dragon Phoenix. That has it.
And
too.
that was the place because I was with after the Dragon Boat races in Pawtucket. We went down with the drummers there.
Yep.
And they wanted somehow they got connected with the place in West Warwick, Dragon Phoenix, and they all sat around eating authentic Chinese food.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. But for regular Chinese food, there's always you know, Charlie Chin's Asia Grill up in.
Who used to be in the Islander down in Warwick.
Correct. Yeah, Charlie's phenomenal. You know,
I ate there 2 weeks ago. Actually.
Oh, did you? Yeah, they're good. Or even in Cranston. You know what I always have a hankering for, because they remind me of my parents' wings? China Dynasty and their chicken wings. It's that, you know, dark, gooey sauce. It's fun, and then you get a little bit extra sauce on the side to dip into the rice. So, you know, that brings back a lot of good memories.
And yesterday I had shrimp, this shrimp dish at this place on Thayer Street.
Oh, okay.
Ray, the guy that owns it, he always really hooks me up, and they have it's right on the middle of Thayer Street. It's Chinatown is the name.
Oh, oh, I haven't tried there yet.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, good.
And they right in front of you. You know, you walk right through. It's a very narrow place. It's got a few seats in the back, but most people take the stuff to go.
Oh, got it.
And they give you a lot of food for your money.
Oh, that's great.
It almost looks like the stuff they have, the Chinese setups they have in the mall.
Oh, really? Oh,
you know, where you go, I want that, and that.
Oh, that's
You
good.
get 2 items for such and such, 3 items for such and such.
Absolutely.
But you really get your money's worth there.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of good food that's around. You know, and we're talking about Chinese, but you know, I'm a big sushi guy too. So
really,
yeah, I like Jackie's Galaxy, or you know the.
Oh, I know Jackie.
Jackie, yeah, Jackie's got so many places.
4 places or 5 now?
Yeah, he's got quite a. I know North Providence, Providence. He's still got the one in Bristol. Cumberland, I think, is his. So at least Cumberland, 4.
Yes,
so he might have. Yeah. So he's got a good business operation going on. So they do well, and even my old restaurant. Where my parents sold
Which is where?
Right on Cranston. They used to be on Cranston. They moved up across from Bain, the old Marcello's in typical Rhode Island term, across from Bain Middle School. So they were, my parents
Now, what is that, Gansett Avenue?
Gansett Avenue.
Yeah, it is Gansett.
Yeah, so the place that bought it is called Ichiban. A little bit good, right. So they do sushi, but they also have some good Korean food, too.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, it's so eclectic. This is what I love about this state. So much diversity.
Right.
You know,
and all Chinese food is not Chinese.
Correct.
Like Taiwan, I like Thailand, food from Thailand. It's a little spicier than Chinese food, right?
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, and for noodle dishes, you can always go pop down, you know.
Well, that's Japanese. But a
lot
of Japanese dishes are noodles, right?
Oh, yeah, a lot of that. But Apsara is more like the Southeast Asian too. So Apsara's got a lot of great noodle dishes. So there's a lot of good, you know, food, you know, Asian food, a lot of good, you know, food in general, Italian.
Yeah, Portuguese food.
Oh yeah, Portuguese. You know, come over to the
East Providence,
East Providence.
Yep.
You can't
Madeira.
Madeira.
Riviera.
Absolutely. Yep. You got a lot of good, you know, food that's going on there. You know, to even, you know, a lot of you know, Latino food that's going on in South Providence.
And Cranston.
In Cranston, too.
And in Central Falls, it's got a lot of places.
Oh, yeah. You know it's a little hidden gem that I go to? It's not too far from City Hall. On Elmwood Avenue, Armando's Meat Market. They've got this little side.
There's one in Pawtucket.
Yeah, exactly. So they get this little side kitchen that they do where people can go, like especially during lunchtime, and it's like what you're talking about. All the food's prepared, and you just go and you just pick.
Now, see, I don't know that about Pawtucket. If they have that in Pawtucket,
I don't know, but I know
I'm going to check though.
Check that
it's
out.
right near me.
On Elmwood Avenue, Armando's Meat Market. You see it right off 95.
Right.
Right off there. You know, Oswald, the owner. They're great people, and I go there every now and then, sneak away because it's a short, you know, ride into Providence, grab my food, you know, take off, or even just sit sometimes over there. I tell you, it's you're making me hungry now, and I just had my salad.
Oh, that's how you keep trim, just eating salad, huh?
Just eating salad.
Just eating salad.
Yeah, a lot of good places all around, even for salads too.
All right, let's get serious for a minute.
All right, sure.
The governor's budget.
Yep.
Pick at the governor's budget for me.
You know, sorely disappointed, you know, in the governor's budget because, you know, now she's got an unfettered 4 years now where, you know, she got back in, it's her last term, and to start off with a budget that just increases taxes. She was trying to increase beach fees and everything else. It's frustrating. Frustrating as a Rhode Island because that's all we've seen for the past several years. It's just more coming into residents' pockets. So I was definitely disappointed when, you know, I went up there that day.
What do you mean more coming into residents' pockets? You mean
like she's reaching into
yeah,
and taking out, you know,
taking out,
from taking out from residents' pockets.
Right.
more dollars. And a lot of us have just had it. And this is why, I ran, because it's got to go the opposite way, especially at that, state level. And I talked about cutting sales tax. But what I found really frustrating and disappointing is she's hitting cities and towns too. To our community, Cranston, she came up and started, dipping into what we receive money called payment in lieu of taxes for all the state properties that we don't get, full property tax from.
Well, like the ACI, right?
The ACI, they've grown so much more.
You got a bunch of properties in the old Howard complex.
Exactly. The Department of Business Regulations there, Department of Labor and Training. They just opened up the new Attorney General's office that's over
and the
there.
registry even.
Yeah, the registry. So everything is up, which, look, you got to have a place for it. It's been there like that. But don't keep taking money away from us. And, in her budget, she proposed cutting to Cranston, us losing $630,000. And she thought it was just for next year's budget, but she failed to realize that that proposed cut impacts this year, the budget year that we're actually in. So imagine trying to survive.
After you've already established a budget.
Establish a budget, right. And we only have 3 more months left. So good luck trying to find $630,000, with 3 months left. When most of it, it goes ebbs and wanes, and it's difficult to do. And that's going to become permanent. And then she's trying to create more new fees, even on cities and towns. She tried to come up with this crazy idea of charging back municipalities. If you can believe it, Bob, our police department do a great job. They're always, proactive in policing. They've had a couple times where they've arrested juveniles and had the juveniles get sentenced to the training school.
Right.
Well, right now, the governor's proposing that not just for Cranston, but every community that has kids, permanently at the training school for a period of time,
right,
they're going to charge us back for those kids.
Well, what do they do now? Presently, how do they deal with that?
It's all under the care and custody of the state.
The state.
Right, and so, DCYF.
And charging back, what does that end up costing you?
Well, get this, Bob. When I saw that proposal, to Cranston, it would have been $164,000.
For how many kids?
This is what amazes me, Bob. I called my colonel and found out, hey, how many kids do we have at the training school? 4.
Wait a minute, for 100 what?
164,000.
That's
4 kids.
40,000 a kid.
Bob, I'd rather send these 4 kids to Brown University. They'd get a lot better education. Am I wrong? Or Rhode Island College,
really?
URI.
Yeah, twice.
Twice each.
Send
more kids there. This is
$164,000 for 4 kids.
For 4 kids, and this is.
But wait a minute. Now that also applies to Pawtucket, even
Pawtucket. Every community they're looking to charge back. So this is the stuff that has to stop. I think we have to.
And when it's charged back to the cities and towns, guess where it comes from, folks? The city budget, which is based on property taxes.
Right. And this is where it matters, because more and more it's forced back onto the locals, which you hit the nail right on the head, Bob. The only source of revenue that we get, the majority of it, is property taxes.
And the problem with that is the elderly population that own their house and they've worked all their lives and they finally retired, now they get banged for this kind of stuff. And every time they get hit and the property taxes go up $100, $200, $300 a year, their Social Security doesn't go up. Their pensions don't go up.
They can only afford so much, and this is why it's frustrating. And when you take a look at, whether it's Cranston's budget or any other communities, it's already tough, because when I first got into office, we weathered multi-million-dollar cuts, when I first came in, because it was the recession.
Right. And
now all she keeps doing is spending more. And, even online sales, they're taxing all of our online sales right now.
Right.
So they're getting that. And then she proposed, in the past to tax, Netflix, the streaming services that we have. She imposed taxes on seasonal rentals. At what point is it going to stop? And that's why I ran, last year, to make sure we make a difference, because it has to, because each time you keep squeezing the local communities, the only people that we can go to is the local property taxpayers, and it's high enough. You know, and this is why, you know, I'm disappointed in the governor's budget. We certainly can do better and deserve better, because a lot of those decisions of, you know, starting new programs when we're not even funding the programs we have right now, that's wrong.
Right, right.
And that's some of the challenges we face as a state. We've got to overcome, you know, this tax mentality at the state, because all it does when you tax and when you start cutting down to the locals, it just puts it back on the local taxpayers. So it's got to change, Bob.
Well, and to add to that, this new, the 2 laws that have just passed in the House, and let's hope they don't make it by the Senate, take away any leverage that the cities and towns have when dealing with firefighters' pensions, and I guess.
Oh, not pensions, but overtime.
Oh, I'm sorry, overtime.
Overtime, yeah, and this is one where
contracts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the contracts where, you know, it's difficult enough to manage as a mayor, town administrator, town manager, and we've got 39 cities and towns in our state. But the more that the General Assembly, and if the governor goes along with it too, that ties the local officials' hands, especially at the bargaining table.
Right.
Because you ask all 39 of us, not a single one of us is afraid to sit across the table and negotiate a contract. But when you start taking some tools away from us, and this bill that that's going to pass the House, or pass the House yesterday, it's going to
2 bills, right? Is it 2 bills?
I'm not sure of the 2. I know that there was definitely 1 bill that dealt with firefighter overtime.
Right.
It made any
after 42 hours.
After 42 hours.
Instead of what, 56?
Right, which is the federal, you know, the federal
Because
law.
what people they fail to mention is they sleep a part of that time. They're not up 56 hours a week.
Depending on their schedules of, you know, when they work, how they work. You know, some communities across the country have a 24-hour shift.
Right.
You know,
so they work 2 24-hour shifts, and how do they make up the rest?
Well,
of 48
it depends.
Hours and
a lot of it is if they work so many of those shifts on, they have to have so many days off.
Right.
So what you're supposed to do in, you know, firefighter context, and this is under federal law, it's 56 hours. It's the average work week of 56 over a month time period. Because remember, there might be some weeks that you're not hitting that 56 because of the schedule that you're working on. You know, so, you know, a lot of that whole, you know, bill, all it does, and this is why many.
Oh, is this why all these firefighters have other jobs?
Well,
most of them. I mean, they certainly do. Businesses and jobs.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
Because you work 2 days and you're off for what, 4?
Yeah, it depends on the schedule, Bob. You know, because in Cranston it's a 10, you know, 2 10s and then 2 12s. So it varies by community, but no matter what your schedule.
2 10s and 2 14s. I think that's
could
48.
Be. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it depends on, you know, each community, however that. I'm not familiar with what Pawtucket does, but.
Well, I'm not familiar recently. I was 20 years ago, but not now.
Right. But however you set that up, you know, it should be within the community making that individual decision. And whenever you're taking away the ability of a community, because right now we have 3 communities that are on a system that would be impacted particularly by this bill. I think it's like Coventry with Central Coventry.
And ironically,
Tiverton and North Kingston.
I was going to say, the guy that proposed the bill's from Tiverton.
Right.
And they're really going to get hurt apparently if
right,
this
with the
bill
financial impact of it. So a lot of that, you know, really has to be taken into consideration. You know, you really shouldn't be tying, and this is why many of us at the League of Cities and Towns, the town managers, are opposed to that bill because it's a management right. You know, not to say that
and
all
not
these
to take away from the firemen either, by the way.
Right, and a lot of it is just about making sure that we have that opportunity. If that a community chooses to go that should be their discussion locally.
Right. But
we shouldn't have our hands tied, you know, by the state mandating one thing or another, because this is where it's led to some of these higher costs.
It's big
within
money
our
too,
backyards.
especially the overtime,
Absolutely, it is big money. So, and there's more effective ways to tackle it, but it should be a local decision, you know, sitting at the bargaining table, and it shouldn't be decided and dictated at the state level.
Now, when you deal with that, are you directly involved in the bargaining when you're dealing with the?
It depends.
The firemen, the policemen, and the city workers. Do you directly negotiate?
In the past, I have, just to try to save some dollars. You know,
Yep.
You know, being a lawyer myself, I've negotiated a lot of deals in private sector.
Well, a lot of people probably don't even know that you're an attorney.
Yeah, I'm an attorney. So to save on Cranston taxpayers, in the past, I've sat at the table along with my direct administration, finance director, maybe my personnel, and it just, you know, that's the team that goes, so that way we're not hiring an outside lawyer.
Right.
Who's grinding the clock. It could be expensive, especially during negotiations.
I saw some of the bills years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So we've tried, you know, to save, you know, at times I've been part of the negotiating table. You know, now that I've been around for, you know, close to a decade, I'm letting a lot of my team do it. You know, they know the contracts, they know the ins and outs of it, so they prepare it. They're the ones at the bargaining table negotiating with these guys, and then, you know, they'll seek my input.
Right, right.
Ultimately, for Cranston, though, it has to go back in front of the city council for their ratification.
After you negotiate?
After we negotiate, so.
Now, that's not the way of every city and town, is it?
I think most of them do.
Is it? Yeah.
Most of them do, but it should, because it provides that extra check, you know, from the executive function.
Right,
with the legislative
You're not giving away the house.
Right, you're scrutinizing it. There's the opportunity for public, you know, scrutiny over the contracts or any type of agreements that are put out.
But you're saying this bill would take away one of your tools in dealing with the union? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. So that any mayor or town administrator, and that should be their decision, or town council, their decision whether, you know, moving to a different platoon system, different, you know, work hours, you know, should be part of the discussion instead of mandating, oh, you have to be on a X amount schedule.
Right.
And everything else is overtime, because, you know, federal law sets, you know, a bigger time limit just because of the nature of the job.
Meaning, in other words, that's a national law, 56 hours?
It's the federal
and that's
labor
because
standards.
they can't sleep during the time. Is that why?
It's a different. Well, I'm not sure why, but that's the federal standards that they set. You know, set that
I never
years
understood
ago.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's based on your average during the month. So that's where, you know, they set out, you know, those standards.
Wait a minute. You mean they average 56 hours a week during a month period?
Over the course of a month. So, you know, there might be, you know, a week, depending on when you're on and when you're off,
right,
where you're not working, you know, the full, you know,
48 hours.
48 hours,
right,
56, or whatever that schedule might be. So that's where, you know, that's where it's balanced and it's averaged over the month.
Mm.
Yeah. So for us, you know, we're going to continue, you know, working with the, you know, Senate side now, as you mentioned, making sure we talk to the governor about our concerns, because not only that, the other bill that's, you know, that a lot of municipal leaders have been watching is binding arbitration.
Right.
That's another, the extension of binding arbitration and contract continuation.
Now that hurts.
Our concerns.
That hurts the municipalities, right?
Yet again, because they want to extend it. Binding arbitration already is in existence with police and fire, and it's led to, you know, some, you know, adverse decisions that have impacted taxpayers.
And usually go the way of or against the cities and towns.
It can be. At least I've seen it historically.
Right, that's what it seems like.
Back in Cranston, when some of these fights have had, you know, we care about some of these legacy costs right now that are really hamstringing cities and towns. Back in the day, it was one of the past administrations lost a fight with, I think it was the firefighters, over retiree health care. Or even there was a separate, you know, arbitration decision on family health care.
Right.
So a lot of these now, you know, back then it probably wasn't as costly as what it is now.
Right.
And when you take a look at that decision and the compounding impact it's had not only on Cranston,
right.
but it's expanded
especially
its
with
way.
the COLAs you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
With the COLAs and with the benefits they get.
And the benefits that they get. You know,
now
they
still get their medical coverage after they retire?
Many of the communities do. Cranston is not as bad as some of the other communities are what they call OPEB, other post-employment benefits, which is normally your retiree health care.
Right.
You know, they have to calculate that. In many of these other communities, they're talking about billions of dollars that, you know, they haven't even started funding yet because it wasn't a requirement to fund. Cranston's not in that bad of a shape because it's only police and fire and teachers that get retiree health care. You know, all the other municipal workers, administrators don't get retirement health care.
Right.
So, you know, we've also taken steps to limit it too, so that at, say, age 65, when you're Medicare eligible, Medicare kicks in and, you know, the city only becomes like a supplement on any excess. So there's little things like that can make a big difference.
Now, is it true? Somebody told me this, and because as preparing for this, I talked to a lot of people. Asked around. Yeah. Is it true that firemen's kids go to college for free?
I don't know. I'll have to check on that. I haven't.
Because I can't believe I can't.
I don't know.
I don't know that that's true.
I don't know
that's why I wanted to ask you.
No, I don't know. Don't know about if that's true or not. So, I know in the past, like, you know, we've heard the stories about police officers going to school, like law school.
Right.
But, you know, they've cut off. I think they've cut off the law school.
Yeah, become a lawyer and leave the police department.
Right. I think they've cut that off.
I think our former
state statute.
Attorney General did that, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. No, but there's different, you know, there's different perks and benefits that some have been granted by contract, some have been granted by the state. So, and this is why, you know, for us as municipal leaders, we're always on guard, watching what comes down from that state house, because it matters. It matters in your day-to-day operations. It matters long-term too. So and that's why we're a part of the league. We always, you know, talk amongst each other about what's going on, and, you know, we'll band together to advocate for what's right.
And by the way, I don't blame them for taking advantage of every benefit they get coming. Yeah. But as a taxpayer, I have to look at it on the other side of the coin.
Right, and we have to watch out for that, and, you know, wherever we can fight it, we'll fight it, because anything that adds more cost to us, you know, it just goes back into the taxpayer's pocket.
Right. You know, when you say it, it sounds like the taxpayers are getting it back. No. It comes out of the taxpayer's pocket.
It comes out of the taxpayer. Right. Right.
Now you've run for governor twice, right? First time, I say that you would not have lost had it not been for the problem with
the third party candidate, Mr. Healy. Yeah.
Mr. Healy.
Yeah.
And do you know, in 2010 I threw my name in for lieutenant governor with no intention of running for lieutenant governor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
and it was the last minute. I was driving down because I was told years earlier we had made this arrangement that I backed this senator, and then when he retired, I was going to take his spot. And I heard he was retiring, so I was driving to the Board of Elections, and nobody knows this, I guess, very few people anyway. And I was driving to the Board of Elections to file for state senate, and I called this senator to tell him that I was doing it. He goes, "Oh no, don't run. I want to run one more time. Let me run one more time, and then I'll back you in 2 years."
Right.
I said, "But I'm hearing from everybody you're not running." "Oh, don't believe them. I'm telling you, I'm running." "Oh, okay." So I'm ready to turn around. He goes, "Why don't you just throw your name in? Throw your name in for lieutenant governor, and just to get your name out there again, because I'd run years earlier." I said, "I don't really want to run for lieutenant governor." He said, "Just throw your name in." So I did.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Well, anyway, the next day I find out that he dropped out, and another person was the only one that took out papers, ended up walking in without having to spend a dime.
See, Bob, lesson learned. Wait until 4/29, make sure no one else files, and then file the, you know, paperwork.
Yeah.
Know?
So it ended up, my point is that I ended up on the ballot for lieutenant governor, and I got over 20,000 votes.
There you go. There you go. And that's, hey, maybe, in the future you'll be running again.
No, God, no. No, I'm done. I'm done with that. My question to you is, are you going to run again?
I'm open to it, Bob. One of the things that I really have enjoyed about, serving as mayor, I really like that chief executive role. You have a chance to implement policy.
Right.
It's not easy, but it's something that's very rewarding. Just to see the transformation of Cranston, fixing the finances. We tackle a lot of weighty issues from, budgets that had holes in them, to our pension problems in Cranston, to fixing the business environment and seeing that city grow, especially that central part we talked about, Garden City, to see that transformation, it's fun. And, the office of governor, I ran twice. Who knows? I'll take a look at it down the road. Right now, this year, I'm taking the time, my wife and I are going to take some time for ourselves to, keep focus on the city, but take some time for ourselves. In fact, we just got back from Italy.
I want to talk about that.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I want to talk about it in a second, but I do have this one caveat for you.
Yep.
Sunland ran twice and lost.
Right.
He ran the third time, and I worked for him.
Oh, did you?
The third time.
All right.
And a coincidence, maybe not, but he won the third time.
That's great. Well, if you're offering your services, Bob, maybe that's going to be the lucky charm.
No, I was his photographer the third time.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Oh,
not the first. Photographer, PR guy, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah.
I roamed around with him all over the state.
Yeah.
And he won his third time out.
That's great.
He didn't do well his first two times.
Yeah.
He spent $3 million not winning.
Yeah. And it's a grind. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of yourself, because you saw me out there all the time. I'm lucky I've got a very supportive wife, Barbara Ann.
Right.
She enjoys it.
A beautiful woman and
She's
a nice
beautiful.
girl and
She's
a nice person.
Right, and we met through politics.
Yeah.
So it's been fun, sharing the ride with her and having someone that's understanding.
Well, that's big.
But
that's big. That is huge. If you don't have someone backing you, a wife, girlfriend, whatever, on your side, you got a problem.
It's not easy. But, we'll see, what comes down the line in 4 years from now. In the meantime, focus on these next two, doing what's right for, Cranston, continuing, building up the city, basically finishing strong. I'm going to, do my job, like Bill Belichick said, Patriots are my favorite team, and we're going to, keep doing good in Cranston. And then the rest of Rhode Island can really see, and this is where, you still see a lot of, areas that are depressed, the numbers that, economically, the jobs number isn't what the governor is, saying it is, as rosy as the governor is saying it is. And, there's hints that we could be falling back into another recession. So you always got to be cautious in doing the right thing. And I've enjoyed building, what we have in Cranston. So who knows, what my next route might be. But, my chapter isn't closed. The book's not closed yet.
Well, your most recent route was through Italy, you said, huh?
Yes, recent route was through Italy.
I'm Italian. I haven't been to Italy yet. I've been all over the world. I haven't been to Italy.
Oh, really?
I want to go. I want to go on a Mediterranean cruise, but I want to go with somebody. I don't want to go alone.
And Bob, I'm just lucky. I had a great tour guide and my wife. We got this awesome deal just online because it was the off season.
Right.
So we went for 7 days, and it was very timely too. We ended up. It's my first time.
What time of year?
February, like late February.
All right. Yeah, you want to go before the kids are out of school because that's when it gets expensive.
Yeah, and then hot and everything else.
Yes.
It was perfect. We caught a great deal.
I want to go in either May or October is when I want to go.
Yeah, and it was great. I love the food. We ended up our home base was Rome.
Okay.
So we were, a few blocks away from the Vatican, which is where, I converted to Catholicism a couple years ago, so I wanted to go see the Vatican. I even heard the Pope speak when they had that historic summit with on the clergy sex abuse that was going on for the whole week. We were there that first day on Sunday when the Pope appeared from his apartment and spoke to all the masses. So my wife and I were there. Didn't understand
that's
it,
cool.
But we were just wondering why all these TV cameras from around the world were there too. Yeah? So it was kind of cool.
You just got lucky then.
We just got lucky.
Wow.
But it was very nice seeing Rome, all that it has to offer. But then we also took a trip to Venice, did a gondola ride, just wanted to do the touristy thing. Hit Florence, saw the David statue.
Of the three, which city do you like the best?
Well, actually, Rome was great. I loved Rome. Florence was good. Venice was good. But we also took a day trip to Itri, because Itri is our sister city to Cranston.
Yep. Right, sure.
A lot
Cafe
of
Itri.
Cafe Itri, absolutely. Yep. A lot of the people in Knightsville came from there. So the mayor from Itri came last year to Cranston.
Oh.
And we had a chance to ring him up. And we had an opportunity to go in front of the council. Many of the towns was there. We re-signed and renewed the sister city agreement.
Nice.
And had a chance to spend a day, see the history. When we're talking about history, the history of America, we're babies compared to what's going on over there. Yeah. To see the old ancient Roman roads and everything else. Oh, it's unbelievable. You got to go, Bob. You really got to go.
Yeah. I definitely want to go do it. And I want to do a cruise first, because that way I can hit 4 or 5 spots in Italy and then maybe go back after and hit, stay at one of the cities or towns that I like the best.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. In fact, my wife and I are going to go back to Europe. By sheer coincidence, just a couple of weeks ago, she found out she likes to run in marathons. She got into the London half marathon.
Wow.
So she goes, "Oh, hon, what are you doing this date in October?" I'm like, well, I don't know. Check my schedule. I think I'm open. She goes, "Well, you want to go back to Europe? Because I got in, to the London half marathon." So I'm like, sure. So this year it's going to be, that year and a half of campaigning was a lot on us. We didn't take much time off for ourselves. This year we're going to take some trips, really spend some time ourselves, keep focus on the city, do what's right, but really enjoy ourselves and get a chance to see the country, see the world, and and really
nothing like traveling. Nothing like traveling. I really enjoy traveling.
Yeah, and it helps reinvigorate you too.
Right.
Because when I came back, so passionate about, just charged up, passionate about that sister city relationship, ready to, tackle, our city, our budget, any problems that come across our way.
Well, that's good. Well, we'll be seeing you around Cranston, that's for sure.
You're going to be seeing me all across the state, but definitely Cranston.
Now, when are they looking at for that new complex there at the Old Citizens?
Probably. They're looking at opening around the fall of 2020.
Okay.
So, it just got past the council right now. They're going to have to do a lot more planning to kind of get a lot of the site work done, working with us, our building inspection, planning department, get all their ducks in line and, really move forward before they even, break ground. But it's going to be exciting, adventure that's going to be that Topgolf.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
especially now that I find out that it's not a driving range.
Right, it's not.
I can't drive anymore.
Right, because
drive anymore.
We still have the driving range at Mulligan's, which is right down the road too. So they're still going well in Mulligan's Island.
Well, I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad you could come and hang around with me for an hour. You spent an hour with Bob.
An hour with Bob, and a lot of fun. We talked about everything from food, politics, rest.
Oh, wait a minute! Look at this. Now, is this weird? This is. Talk about saving a tree. This is what I got. I went to CVS yesterday. This is what I got for paper. This is one receipt. And, I can also get, hairspray. I can get razor blades. I can get pain relievers. I can get hair color for women. I can get facial care. I need some facial care. Nasal spray.
Bob, you know what you got to do? There's an app for that.
Well, you're going to show me.
And I'll show you how you can get rid of it.
This is ridiculous.
You can save a tree.
Save a tree. That's what I want to do. Save a tree. And folks, save a tree, will you? And thanks for stopping by. And again, thank you, Mayor, for spending an hour with Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, everyone.
And have a good night. Until next time, folks. See you.